calm, focus, happiness. Hey, Mindful Tribe, welcome back to another episode of Mindfulness Mode. Today, I'm with a woman who can help you unleash your creative spirit. And we've talked about creativity a lot on the show because, it's very closely tied to mindfulness. This lady has spent her life inventing and reinventing herself. She's a writer, an award-winning writer. She's a producer. She's a screenwriting professor at the University of Southern California. She's a painter and a creator of Storytelling Lab. So let's just get right on with it. I'm so excited to talk to Bonnie Garvin today. Bonnie, are you in mindfulness mode today?
Yes, I am. And I loved hearing that introduction because it sounded so good. I mean,
Well,
I
it's
always go, I
impressive.
haven't done much. And then when you read it, I go, oh, okay. Because
You've done
everybody feels
plenty.
that way, I guess. You've always think that, you got to do more.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but it sure looks like you've done a lot of amazing things. And I'm just so really looking forward to this conversation. But what does mindfulness mean to you anyway, Bonnie?
I think that mindfulness is really being conscious of what you do and why you're doing it. I think that most of us just kind of run around on, automatic pilot, and they're not necessarily really conscious of what you're doing and why you're doing it. So one of the things I think about creativity is it's really connected to mindfulness
Yes.
because if you're not connected to that, you're not really going to be able to create because you're too much in your head.
Yeah.
And I I believe that but mindfulness is also tapping into your unconscious so that you can really allow what's inside of you to come out, the kind of that stuff that we're always trying to prevent. You're always trying to be polite and we're always trying to be this and all of those things. And this is a way not to, this is a way for you to take all of that and channel it into something that's positive, because I think most of us spend a lot of time, I know I do, in negative thinking, and when you're in mindfulness, you're in a kind of a different state. So you're not all focused on yourself and thinking about all the things you didn't do today or all the things you did wrong today, because you're in this other kind of plane than when we're just ourselves in the regular world.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, tell me about this storytelling lab. And I know storytellinglab.online is your website. How
Yes,
did
it is.
you get to the point where you're doing this storytelling lab thing?
So I teach screenwriting at USC, which is the major film school in this country, University of Southern California. And it's great. I've been there for 18 years. I teach students, generally juniors and seniors. But during COVID, I knew that if I kept teaching juniors and seniors, I would not keep wanting to teach because it was once you got that distance, it was really hard.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something with adults, and I also wanted to do something that's fun for me because I really believe, shallowly, I really believe in fun. Because if you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it? There's no other payoff for you. I mean, if you're creating someone, nobody's standing there with a check waving it over your head. You're doing it because it's making you feel good. So I wanted to create something that would make me feel good and it would also be fun for me to do, and I think fun for other people. So it's only a 6 week class, and it's 6 weeks, only six people. So you really get, I mean, one of the things, it's really built a community over the years. All these people stay in touch with each other. They share book recommendations if they're in the same town. Like I have a lot in England. They all go to the theater together, and it's really and support each other. So every week people do a different kind. I also think that creativity isn't just about writing. I mean, there are a lot of ways to be creative. I had a student a few classes ago who wrote me the most beautiful letter because he decided as a result of taking the class, he was going to go to architecture school because that's what he always wanted to do. So creativity informs a lot of different things. It isn't just about writing, which is why every week in the 6 weeks, you're doing something that's a little different. Because we also think, I can do this, but I can't do that. But when you've ruled out the that, you have no idea if you can't do it because you've already ruled it out.
True.
And I always tell this story that I have a woman who came into the class and she had been struggling for a long time to write a memoir. She had some really tragic things happen. And as a result of taking the class, she has now written and completed a graphic novel on death, which she's never drawn a picture or had not even seen a graphic novel till she came into the class. And now she's done this. And she'll keep saying, I can't believe I did this because you don't know. And that's what the class is really all about is opening you up. I don't give you notes. I don't tell you how to do it. It's really about you finding your own self-expression, whatever that means. So I think that there's so many classes online, but I really do think what separates Storytelling Lab is that I'm not trying to teach you how to write or how to write better. I'm trying to help you open up that place in yourself that's gotten all closed down that was there when you were a kid and is gone now.
And tell us more about how you do that, how you break through those internal blocks, because so many of us have those.
Well, one of the things I really believe is you have to write from your unconscious.
Mm.
As soon as my head gets in the way, I just close down. So a lot of what I'm teaching you is really how to do that, how to go around your head and to really write from a place that's truthful and, represents you, but that you're not self-editing. I mean, I, when I'm writing or painting, one of the reliefs for me is that I don't have to think. Like all I do all night, even in my dreams, I'm thinking. But when you're creating something, you're not thinking at that level. You're into this whole other headspace. That's what I'm talking about, the connection for me about that in mindfulness. You just go into this other plane. You're not being critical of yourself. You're not stressed. You're not worried about what you're making for dinner or how much money you have in the bank. You're just present. And I think that most of us, I know I struggle a lot with being present. And yet when I'm writing and I'm painting, I'm there. You can yell at me and I don't even hear you because I'm so focused. And I think that that's really the joy of creativity. We all focus on wanting to make a living at it. And that's a legitimate desire. But before that, I always say if you're not happy doing it, if it's not bringing you joy, why is it going to do that for somebody else? It really all starts with you.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that you talked about faces and how we use those faces as a facade and we hide behind those faces. So when we write, do we do the exact same kind of thing? Do we hide and sometimes are afraid to express ourselves the way we really need to?
Yeah, and even more than that, I will constantly hear from people, I can't write.
Oh,
What does that mean? You've been to school, you're educated, you know how to write. That's not your problem. Your problem is either you think you don't know how to write or you're too blocked to write. Because there's not one person who is literate who can't write. Doesn't mean that you want to. I think that people confuse wanting to make a living at it with writing. I mean, writing is a basic tool that all of us need and to use, and most of us feel so uncomfortable with it because I tell this story as well that one day I was in California for an extended period of time, and my husband we were living in New York, and he
mhm.
wrote me this letter. And my husband, they used to call him the golden voice because he just had this, and he was, no, I'm sorry, they called him liquid gold because he would just pour it out and he was a lawyer. And now he writes me a letter and it sounded like a third grader. Dear Bonnie, how are you? I am fine. It rained today. I mean, and I said to him, wait a minute, this is nuts. You sound like you're 10. Why is that when you're so verbal? And I said, from now on, I don't want you to write what you think you should write. Whatever comes out on the page, I don't care if it's a nursery rhyme, I want you to write that. And it completely freed him up. And then he would write letters that were normal. And now when he writes letters to other people, they sound normal, not like he's 10. And it really is. So, what I really do is sort of try and teach you to circumvent your head. So I see like our heads as this giant container and it's full of all of this junk mainly. So we empty out the junk and now we pick out what we want and leave the junk behind. And it really, that's why I know everybody can do it. And it's only a question of, do you want to do it? Is this how you want to spend your time? And if so, then that's what you need to do. And I think a class like Storytelling Lab, what I mainly see it is building, it's a real confidence builder. I mean, that, and which is really the goal of the whole class, is to make you see that you can do way more than you think you can.
Cool. That is great because so many of us need to build our confidence. That is for sure. Tell us about your project that you're doing with the Hollywood images.
The Hollywood Images, I'm not sure exactly what is that exactly? The Hollywood Image.
Um, well,
Oh, I
I,
know what you're talking about.
yeah,
No, no, I had painted those. Okay.
right.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. When you said
That's
that, I
okay.
thought talk about writing, and I was completely, I made a shift.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So this is not about writing. This is about
Oh,
film moments and things like that,
yes.
right?
So yes, and what I wanted to do was, since I'm in the movie business and TV business, I thought I'd been in a real kind of portrait phase, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to find some of the iconic images and paint those?
Yeah.
It would, and the thing that was about it was it was such a challenge because I had to make people look like themselves. You couldn't look at it and think, who is that? And that was really hard. But I also learned that everybody has one particular feature that if you get right, it kind of can capture them. I mean, you think it's all about capturing everything exactly, but most people have one, which is, if you think about it, that's why people can do caricatures.
Right. I was just going to say
It
that.
takes them 10 minutes to do it. And you think, well, how is that possible? Because it's something about they're getting something that captures your essence.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
That's very, very cool. So,
Yeah. And
so
it's been
how's
really
it
fun.
going with this collection? Like, is this
Oh,
an
I did
ongoing
it. I've
project?
moved, no, I've moved on. No, I
Uh-huh.
did it. I had a show, I guess it was maybe like a year and a half or 2 years ago with them. And now I'm doing some other stuff. I mean, one of the things, because I never planned to paint, and I mean, I took the class because I was bad and didn't want to feel like I had to be good.
Oh,
Because if I approach anything, all the things I'm saying work for other people, but when it comes to myself, I feel like, no, I can only do that if I'm good at it. And I literally took the class because I thought I'm going to be so bad at it, and it's going to be so empowering. And then what happened was, yeah, I was really bad at it, but I liked it. So I did it more and more and more. And now I've gotten good at it. So people will say to me, oh my God, you're so talented. You're this and that. But the truth is, people don't know what they can do. It's got nothing to do with talent. It's got to do with desire and doing it over and over. I
mm,
mean, practice really does make perfect. So the fact that I like it, it makes me want to do it. And if I do it more, I'm going to get better at it. It's just not the mystery that most of us make out of it.
right.
It really is all the things that really you go, oh, of course I'll get better at it. And you know what? And if you don't, it probably means you're not really enjoying it. In which time, don't go do something else.
And so, is there an element of mindfulness that allows us to get to that point, that kind of helps us to move forward so that we're not stuck thinking we can't do it?
I think that the mindfulness comes in more about the freedom. I mean, that's how kind of I see mindfulness is when you're not, in my opinion, it's not when you're stuck in that circle of I can't do this, I feel bad, what's the matter with me, I'm gonna lose. That is not mindfulness. That's just screwing with your head. I think mindfulness is when you sort of follow your muse or you allow yourself the space to be who you are without judgment, without anyone else's judgment, that it really is about you and you being in the present. And when you're in the present, in that moment to moment thing they talk about, you're not going to be screwing with your head because when you're really present and doing something, your head is in a different, you're in a different state of consciousness. I mean, I see that with myself. I always think, and I'm so not a woo-woo person, but
Mm,
I always think that when I'm writing or I'm painting, it's as though it's almost not me because I'm into this other zone, and that's me. So I'll even surprise myself if I see something and I'll go, "Oh, that's good." And it's sort of shocking to me because it's the other part of me. And I think everybody really has that. They have us, the person we present in the world, and then there's this other person that lives inside of us. And it's really tapping into that other person and giving them permission to have a voice and a life.
Right. So many of us, and I mean, I felt this way too many times, that maybe I don't have a story to tell, or that my story would be too dull or not interesting enough. But then when I really search myself through mindfulness, I think, oh, I have a story, all right, but I'm just afraid. It's more
Right.
about fear than anything else. Is that what you find with people as well?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Because everybody has a story. I mean, part of the problem is how we define story. Yeah, I never like I wasn't on the Titanic, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there when when World War II was fought. But it doesn't mean that I don't have everybody has a story. I
Yeah.
mean, they really do. And sometimes, I mean, it isn't only about some major event. It's about you and how, I mean, that's why everybody really does have a story. I mean, people will think, oh, that's so interesting. I'm not as interesting as that. But what makes you different from everybody else is your story. None of us have had the same story. So what makes you unique is you. You don't have to try and be like Stephen King. Stephen King's like Stephen King. You get to be Bruce in how Bruce sees the world. And if I give people the exact same assignment, you'd never know it when you heard their stuff because it's coming from you. And that's what makes everybody original. I mean, is that we don't see everything the same way. And that's what makes people interesting. Imagine going to a party and everyone says and does exactly the same thing. No.
That sure would be dull.
Yeah. It would be really, and all life would be dull. I mean, reading books, going to movies, all that stuff would be boring if everybody thought the same way.
It definitely would. Yes. Bonnie, I always ask a question about bullying because I've worked in that field of bullying prevention for a long time. And I'm always interested in how bullying and mindfulness intersect because there is a connection there. Do you have a story of any kind about bullying and how maybe mindfulness would have made a difference in a situation?
No, not really. I've been really fortunate, I guess. I've never been in a situation where somebody was bullied, maybe a little bit when I was in high school, but
Mm.
then I wasn't really, I was sort of a quasi-juvenile delinquent. So I probably wasn't the best. I wasn't probably the best person to ask. I probably did something really horrible back, knowing me then. But no, I really don't. And I think, I mean, just for my opinion, I think a lot of bullying also comes from a place where probably people also need some therapy to find out really what the root cause of that is
Yeah,
because
what's going
that's
on?
generally where it goes. I mean, it's really about what's happening kind of under the surface or that's sort of charging that.
Yeah, you mentioned the subconscious mind before. Have you studied the subconscious mind and the conscious mind? And do you have a theory about how much of our thinking is the subconscious mind?
I haven't really I mean, I've studied it a little bit, but not, I certainly wouldn't consider myself an authority. I think that the unconscious mind, before it kind of speaks and
Yeah.
goes out in the world, is mainly censored by the conscious mind. I think very few people really speak off the top of their head or really speak from a deeper place. Um, because I also think that we've been taught to kind of be uncomfortable with that. You know, that we're supposed to be a certain way. And if you're supposed to be a certain way, it's hard to be mindful and be really who you are. Because you're automatically taking yourself out of that situation and putting yourself into a situation of how you should be.
Right, right. Is it difficult getting people to sign up for your course or finding the people to get into the storytelling lab? Is it
Yeah,
difficult?
I mean, it really is because one, I think, as I said earlier, there are a billion writing classes out there. So how do you compete with that? But one of the things about my class, I always say it's not a writing class because
Yes.
it isn't a writing class. It's really who are you? How are you going to get your creativity out there? Let's tap into that. And everyone has that. So let's tap into that. So, and the other thing is just in general in life, I mean, there's so much out there, whether it's advertising, Instagram, everything. So I think it's a little also overwhelming for people
Hmm.
to really kind of filter it out. And one of the reasons I'm doing podcasts like this is because you're attracting the kind of people who should be in Storytelling Lab. And
Yeah.
again, it's not about wanting to be a writer. It's really about wanting to be free and free to express yourself, whether that's at work whether it's in writing something, whether, as I say, it's going to go to architecture, so the person going to architecture school. It's about you being free to be yourself without any of the chains that, that we put on ourselves.
Yeah. So Bonnie, when does the next storytelling lab start, and what is the cost?
So it starts again in September because
Okay.
people always take the summer off, I find. So I just finished my last class. The other thing I find is that I ended up having to create a second class because people like the first class so much. So what I do in the second class is you actually work on something. You pick something and I sort of help and guide you through that. Um, but it's 6 weeks, the initial class. It'll meet again in September. Only 6 people, so you really get a lot of attention and time, and the cost is 850 US.
Okay. 850 US. It sounds really, really interesting. I just think this sounds like something that so many people should do, because I think that a lot of people are creative when they're young, and then a lot of people get into this job, corporate or whatever, and they lose their creativity. And then, do you find that's true?
Oh, completely. And it's funny that you should say that because I always tell that to everybody. And I'll use the example of, now you're 10 years old and you're in your room and you draw a picture and you take it down to show your mother. You don't say to her, "What do you think about the color palette?" And, right? I mean, how
Yeah.
is the character coming? You show it to your mother. You're proud of it. She puts it on the refrigerator, whatever. You go out, you never think about the painting again,
No.
and you're on to the next thing. So all of that is still in us. It's just buried under all the bullshit of because we've got to have a job and we got to take care of all of those things. But it's so important as an adult to give yourself space for yourself, whether it's 20 minutes, an hour, to do something that feeds you. And I
Hmm.
think creating anything really does feed your soul and your head and your heart, and just makes you more present. I mean, makes you more present in the mindful kind of way that we're talking about. Because now you're really connected to yourself. You're
Yeah.
now reaching back in and really reconnecting to the natural child in you, which everybody still has. I mean, it's amazing when you see people who are, so uptight and so rigid and have to be a certain way, and then suddenly, you scrape beneath the surface and you see that kid with all the enthusiasm and the willingness to try something. We won't try anything as adults because we're so afraid that we're going to fail, as opposed to, I'm going to try this. And I always wanted to be an improv. And so what? I don't plan on being an actor. So what if I take the class and I don't even have that desire. I just want to open up. So I think that rather than thinking about the end goal, that you're thinking about the present moment and what's going to help you make your life richer.
Yeah. I love that. As we move
Everybody has
forward in
24
the,
hours. I'm sorry. I was going to say
no,
everybody has the same 24 hours in a day.
yes.
So it's not like we all have to fill, we all fill it, and you fill it according to, a lot of what people expect from you, what you expect of yourself. But it makes such a difference if you have a little teeny window that just is yours.
Oh, yeah, totally. I agree with that for sure. As we move forward in the interview, Bonnie, I want to ask you five quick answer questions. So just 30-second answers are perfect. The first one is this: who is one person that's been a mindfulness kind of inspiration for you in your life?
I think of the person that sort of got me writing.
Mhm.
I think that she's no longer alive, but her name was Esther Broner, and I think that she had a tremendous influence on me. She was someone that was very much present in a way that I usually never am. I'm always thinking of thousand. You can just tell by how I talk. I'm always just everywhere. And it really helped me, focus and kind of get to the point because she worked only, I mean, she never even gave us notes. I went to this class and expected notes and criticism, never a note, never a criticism. So it's not about that. Now, obviously, if I wanted to have, a play on Broadway, I'm going to get notes on it and they're just going to put it up there. But, I always say you need sort of the vomit draft. You need to just let what's in there out, and then you pick and choose what you want or what's interesting to you.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Emotions. Tell us how
Yeah.
mindfulness has affected how you deal with your emotions.
I think it's helped put me more in touch with my emotions. I'm not someone who easily connects to sort of the emotional part of emotion.
Yeah.
I was never really comfortable. I mean, I don't cry a lot. I don't, like those kinds of expressions. So one of the ways to deal with that is through other ways, rather than just saying mindfulness means nothing to me, because I think mindfulness is so important to people. And it's what you do with that mindfulness and that you can have it in different ways. I mean, it's not just people think it's all about meditation, but I don't think that's true. I think it's more about really being present and keeping all the noise out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Breathing. Do you have any thoughts, ideas, things you want to share about the topic of breathing?
Breathing. I never knew that I didn't breathe until I went to yoga. I mean, seriously, I had
Yeah.
no idea. And breathing is an amazing thing that until someone brings your attention to it, you never think about.
Yeah.
And the difference when you're breathing from a really shallow place as opposed to breathing from a deep place. I mean, you really notice that difference in how this place, the place is just right at your neck that you're breathing from or your chest, um, doesn't really allow you the full range of emotions. It's kind of a way of keeping them down, I think. And that when you really breathe deeply, you're much more sort of in touch with your body, in touch with your breath, in touch, it just gives you kind of a grounding.
Yeah, it definitely does. Are there any books that you would recommend that are somehow related to mindfulness?
I honestly I can't really think of any because I tend to read all fiction
Sure,
and
do you?
fairly heavy fiction. So I don't know that there's a lot of that kind of in there.
So when you read fiction, is that kind of a mindful escape for you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I never thought about it that way, but it really is because again, it's taking me, I think that anything that takes you out of yourself in
Yeah.
that kind of neurotic, circular way that we all can get into is really a positive mindfulness thing. If whether it's reading a book, whether it's doing yoga, it's really just connecting with your inner life as opposed to always being in your outer life.
Yeah, and we were talking before I hit record about how, we have even more reason than ever to want to escape right now and
Oh,
not be focused on the news necessarily or whatever because it can pull us right down.
yeah. I think you've got to find a balance because I think it's very important to know what's going on in the world
Yeah,
and being
definitely.
on top of that. But it's also about being able to separate yourself so that you can honestly live your life. I mean, I get so distressed by all this that it does, influence how I feel in the world. I'm really working on separating the two.
Hmm.
What I can do, what I can feel, what's reasonable from being a good citizen and all of that kind of thing. And I think you absolutely can be both. And I mean, although I can't think of anyone right off the top of my head, but there are a lot of, writers and creators that you see have a big impact on the world and are doing things and are out there. So there's room for both things. And I think that
Definitely.
some level mindfulness is being conscious of the world around you, not being so insular that you have no idea what's happening because you're so in your own little bubble.
Yeah. Are there any apps of any description that you would recommend that could help with mindfulness?
Gosh, I really don't know. I mean, I'm not an app person. I
Yeah.
mean, I really try not to go there. I mean, it's already such a struggle with the phone.
Yeah.
So I really try and, limit it and not sort of pursue it. It would be more that I would watch something probably than I would go on an app.
That
I'd
you
be
might
much,
watch something on
yeah,
YouTube or
but I
something
might
like
watch
that.
something or read something than go on an app and try and do something with it.
Right. Yeah, I understand that
But I
completely.
understand that there are a lot of apps, and I know, that I mean, it's really interesting how mindfulness has come into the public consciousness.
Mhm.
And I think that it's something that more people have, certainly for me, an appreciation of and an understanding of. We all need that in our life. It isn't something that's just for people who are doing yoga or just for people that are who want to meditate. That it's sort of a larger framework, which is why I wanted to be on the show because to sort of expand that definition of it.
Yeah. Yeah. As we wrap up the interview, do you have any final words of advice for those of us out here who maybe need more creativity and we're not quite sure how to bring it into our lives?
I think you need to take chances. I think the first thing you got to step out of your comfort zone. I mean, that's why a class like Storytelling Lab, it makes you, people will always say, I'm so uncomfortable doing this. And then they'll do it and they'll go, oh my God, what are we? So I want you to do that. I want to challenge you. And I know I can get you out of your comfort zone into a place where you're going to go, whoa, I can't believe I can do this. And it's really important for people to do. So, take a chance. I mean, what's going to happen to you? What happens if you join Stereotype in 6 weeks and you don't like it? You'll still get up the following morning. The sun will still rise. So I think that we put so much weight on everything as opposed to, I'll try this, I'll try that. It just, I mean, this is what life should be about. I mean, how do you find yourself and who you are and meaning if you just sort of stay in the bubble? And work is so destructive that way. You've got to make some time out of work because work is really just such an emotional drain. And life isn't, we were not put on earth only to work and make money for someone else. I mean, that's not what we're here for.
No,
So you need to find a way to say to yourself, I'm important. I'm as important as my work, if not more important, because you'll also be a better employee if you're happy, right? I mean, it's
definitely.
not, all these things aren't things I'm saying and no one ever thought of before. I mean, they're just kind of the obvious things. And it really starts with you. It doesn't start with your job.
No. Well, Mindful Tribe, storytellinglab.online. Check it out. Think about signing up for that course in September because it could really help you. I'm absolutely convinced of it. And
Yeah.
Bonnie, thank you so much for being a guest on Mindfulness Mode.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Me too. Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, all the best to you. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.